Hi, I'm Joanna V, and I'm going to be presenting on grit as a role in military and healthcare personnels. One of the most famous quotes by late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam says, "Never stop fighting until you arrive at your destination. That is the unique you. Have an aim in life, acquire knowledge, work hard, and have the perseverance to realize the great life." Now, from this quote, what all can you do in order to possess the quality of grit? Now, grit. Grit is the quality where one has perseverance, ambition, passion, knowledge, and determination, and many other positive qualities which help them not only in achieving academic benefits but also benefits overall. Grit is a more recent import that was much researched by Dr. Angela Duckworth, and she had said that grit is a tendency to sustain interest and effort towards long-term goals. One of the College Board sources, Hoops, gives an introductory sentence before the picture is captured by Mr. Bamberger. And this sentence, we can infer the meaning that in order to achieve success, you have to have the perseverance and the will, no matter whatever the situation is. Whether you make small or big efforts, you will be able to achieve success. This can be seen in the case of Serena Williams, as she had undergone a lot of racial discrimination in her field. She was able to achieve her success due to her passion for tennis. Now, this theme leads us to the question, how would the person's trait grit impact military and healthcare personnel overcome their work-related obstacles or challenges that they encounter in their line of duty? The military defends the country at times of emergencies by putting their own life at stake. Now, due to the recent COVID times, healthcare workers are under a lot of pressure, not only from the patients' families, but also from governments and hospital heads. So it is understood that we can analyze how grit plays an important role in these personals because they undergo a lot of hardships in their day-to-day lives. The perspectives that we are going to briefly cover throughout this presentation are grit with hardiness, resilience, perseverance, performance and achievement, which leads to success, and burnouts. Now, in this video, we describe about perseverance, hardiness, and resilience. Perseverance is a steadfastness in mastering a skill and completing a task. Hardiness comes with 3 C's: commitment, control, and challenge. Resilience is staying focused and trying to achieve something or attain something higher. In this video, Dr. Angela Duckworth, along with her team of researchers, went to West Point Military Academy and analyzed and predicted how many cadets would stay in the military training and how many would drop out of the military training. The main idea behind this is to determine whether the cadets had the perseverance, commitment, and resilience in order to stay in that military training. Now, grit, along with many other characteristics such as perseverance, resilience, and determination, leads you to success. Grit is a drive for achievement and success. It is only with effort that talent becomes a skill which leads to success. Some research show that effort times skill equals skill, and subsequently, skill times effort equals achievement. Without grit, talent is nothing more than unmet potential. Also, studies show that one's interest in their specific job leads to their better performance and better satisfaction for their job. Grit is identified as a protective factor in many individuals, which will which is a protective factor against later burnouts. And this is mainly characterized due to exhaustion and disengagement from work. Now, in this statistic shown right here, they show the number of nurses. 16% of the nurses have been diagnosed with PTSDs, 18% have been experiencing depression, 33% have experienced high burnout, and 50%, that is almost half of the number of nurses, have considered to leave their occupation or their professions because of the amount of stress, the workload, everything affecting their overall mental health, physical health, and emotionally affecting them. Now, every concept has its downsides too, other than the positives. Similarly, grit too has negatives and limitations. Problems of over-consistency. Being unnecessarily consistent can lead to increasing the amount of time required to do a task and makes a task 2 times harder. Negative correlations between grit and resilience. Now, grit and resilience together as separate measures are seen to be found having negative correlations between the two of them because of the number of people who have higher amount of resilience but maybe have low amount of grit in them, and some may have low amount of grit in them but high amount of resilience. Problems of too much perseverance. Overly persevering in the face of challenges to accomplish a goal which is unimportant for a student or an individual may lead to inducing high amounts of stress, anxiety, distraction, depression, and may have detrimental impacts on the students or individuals' conceptual learning, overall well-being, and psychological well-being. Negative correlations with achievement. Now, being too gritty in when you are in a group can affect the group's overall performance. When in a group, the number of members or individuals in the group may have different levels of grit in them. One may have a high level of grit, whereas someone else will have a low level of grit in them, which will lead to delays in meeting the deadlines, maybe even miscommunication. Also, it can affect the group in various ways, which will result in the malfunctioning of the entire group. Now, to conclude this presentation, some may say that pushing oneself to the extremes can result in washouts, but this quote by R.J. May says that you can do anything if you set goals. You just have to push yourself. Thank you. Do you have any questions for me?
I do have 2 questions for you. First question, how valid and reliable were the sources that you used, and then how do you know they were?
So most of the sources that I used were all peer-reviewed or academic journals, and most of them were based on psychological journals written by a lot of researchers who have really high qualifications, such as psychologists. And one of the sources was the one by Dr. Angela Duckworth, where she had conducted a lot of researches on grit. Her specialization was mainly on grit. So she analyzed a lot on grit along with a team of researchers. And that was one of the examples where she had gone to West Point Military Academy and conducted her research.
All right. And what advice would you have for other people that do this topic in the future?
So I'd advise people who are taking this topic in the future to focus mainly on the positives. And grit does have some negatives, so you should put in the negatives, never forget the negatives. And grit is something that is current. It's even now going on. Just like the healthcare workers right now in times of COVID, they're having that grit, the perseverance in order to keep them moving every day. So everyone has to have grit in today's world in order to move on.
All right, thank you.